Yes, guys, welcome back to another trade recap. And in this trade recap, we are going to be covering this Euro USD trade that I took in the markets today. But before we do that, let's have a look at the live data results. So here we have the live data, boys. And as you can see, we were on a 5 losing streak. We have not been smashing February that well. I mean, both months we haven't been amazing. We are currently up 3.7R in January, and now we're up 3R in February. So we're still positive on both months. However, we're not hitting that minimum 4 to 5R target that we aim for each month. So hopefully we can have some more winning months upcoming, and we can increase those and get back on track. But this is full transparency. I show you guys every single trade and will show you every single trade logged on this data sheet throughout the whole of 2026. So you guys can see the full transparency of this model and exactly the results that everyone gets, okay? Now, as we can see, this was today's trade, 135. So this was actually a New York setup, which is quite rare for us, but there was no news, no high impact news in New York today, so that allowed us to obviously catch a trade in New York. So without further ado, let's jump straight into the analysis. So here is the trade of question. It came very, very close to drawdown, almost made it a 6 losing streak, but we ultimately smashed TP, okay? So let's jump into exactly why we took this trade. So on the 4-hour time frame, we can see that we have recently had a shift of structure to the upside here, okay? That is a valid 2 candle pullback in the structure. So we can see that we were on a downtrend, creating lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, and then we created a higher high. So we are simply anticipating that in the markets. And obviously we can see today we caught a big leg up, obviously not the full move because it is the 4-hour time frame, but moving down to the 1-hour time frame. So the 1-hour time frame was actually quite choppy. I will admit that this was very, very choppy. However, we are still bullish. So again, you can see the same market structure shift point. None of this high is not valid because we didn't create a lower low. So this is the last high in the market. We shifted structure and none of these lows are valid. This is just noise. So obviously we have not closed below this low here. The last low in the market that created a higher high, we have not closed below. So these are just higher lows in the market. And obviously we are looking at to bounce like that. And that is what we have done essentially. So yes, granted, we were quite choppy on the 1-hour. Not every single person caught this trade. It wasn't textbook as such. It was probably a B setup. But these are the sort of trades that technically are there. The 1-hour is technically bullish. Even though it's a little bit choppy, it's something that you should be taking on an eval, okay? I passed a phase 2 of 50K, as you will see here. Despite being in that losing streak. We have lost 5 trades in a row, won this one, and I've passed a 50K, phase 2. So it just goes to show if you have the correct discipline, you can be on massive losing streaks and still gain in equity, still gain in funding. So yeah, risk management is a massive thing, but let's jump into the technicals on the lower time frame. So here we can see we had a massive move down during London. If my sessions indicator wants to turn on or not. There we go. Massive move down in London. We did actually sweep Asia high as well. However, we swept Asia low. So this was an Asia low, Asia sweep framework. We can see Asia got swept. Let's mark that up so it's easy to see. Asia got swept, lagging a little bit. Apologies for that. Now, once we have swept Asia, we then look for our first market structure shift. And what is that? It is a valid 2 candle pullback, 2 or more candle pullback. We can see here, this was not a pullback. We moved sideways. This was a single candle pullback, so that's not valid. This is a 3 candle pullback, and you can see that we actually moved up in the market rather than moving sideways. So it's important to identify the correct structure points in the market, but that comes with time. It comes with patience, but you will get there, okay? So let's turn sessions off to make it look a little bit cleaner. So once we had this big push up, we pulled the fib out as usual, waited for a tap into 50% of the EQ. We then came down to the 1-minute time frame, and we simply entered off of this tiny little inversion fair value gap. You can see here, tiny little imbalance there, and then we entered off of this bullish candle here, which inversed that bearish imbalance. Okay, that was our entry, and as you'll see in the previous video, you will see exactly why I take inversion fair value gaps inside the fib range, and I don't just simply enter off of a fib tap. You will see that in my previous video that I've uploaded. That's a really educational video. I would highly recommend going to watch that. You can see that we did travel into drawdown quite significantly. However, trust the fucking process. Was I in doubt? Absolutely not. But yeah, textbook trade. Everything was aligned. Just the 1 hour was slightly choppy, but we got there. The trade came in and we have gained equity. Cameraman's made money. Ollie has made money on his live account. We've had a few of the lads obviously take the trades and get closer to passing fundeds if they haven't already passed fundeds. So yeah, the VIP is killing it. If you are interested in VIP, just book a free call down below. It's so simple to do and it will change your life in the long run. That is a fact, okay? So yeah, without further ado, that is the end of the video and I'll see you boys in the next one. Peace.